Hello and welcome to the Grand Campaign recap of Session 2. This video will be an overview of the important wars, events and developments that have occurred during the second session. As usual, the events will be split up geographically. If you wish to watch the full stream of the Grand Campaign, a link to the playlist can be found in the description below. Europe, 13 players, half from last time. Many a death occurred in the first session, and many a country burned for it, but from the carnage of the first session we saw a much more peaceful Europe this session. No major European conflicts occurred, and the borders may have begun to set in for the long run. We begin the overview from England. The Scottish player was unfortunately unable to make it, and as such this was all that England needed to consolidate the British Isles. They still have some subjects left to integrate, however, they have had the time they needed to recover from their initial death war, and can probably begin their colonial ambitions. Moving on, we see the Holland player, who was freed from Burgundy last session, consolidate his control of the Netherlands, greatly expanding his power base, while in Germany, Cologne continues to slowly but surely grow in power too. These players remain allied, an alliance they will surely need to ward off an attempted expansion from any of their neighbours. France continues their expansion from Session 1, now turning their attention to Italy, where they use their newly acquired Milan PU to grab a lot of Italian land, consolidating their control of the Genoese trade node. France remains one of the greatest, if not the biggest, powers of the Grand Campaign, having entered the position of Great Power number 1 a couple times during the event. Going further south, we see an uneasy alliance between Castile, Portugal, Morocco and Tunis. While Morocco and Tunis have greatly grown in strength from their expansion into sub-Saharan Africa, Portugal's expansion has been constrained to the New World, while all that Castile has been limited to is their conquest of the rest of mainland Aragon. Regardless, Castile remains the strongest of the four, and holds a mission which would give them a P over Portugal if used, and under current rules, enforcing subject relations onto a player counts as a kill, forcing the player to leave or relocate. Going into Italy, we see the Pope emerge as the unifying power of the Italians, albeit we shall see if he can keep an Italy independent, as Tunis, Austria and France have all made impactful expansions into the area. On the topic of Austria, they have begun further expansion to the HRE themselves, consolidating their border with the Ottomans and Poland, and basically are now ready for another war. Their ally Poland has done much the same, consolidating their control of Lithuania, where Muscovy was also keen to take a bite. A weird border now exists between the two powers, and we shall see if the peace will hold. Muscovy has also taken the session to expand, consolidating much of mainland Russia, and grown in strength. To their west, we see a Denmark-Lubeck alliance that has also taken the time to expand and consolidated their power. Whether it shall be enough to stop Muscovy to ever invades is another question entirely. South from Russia, we see the Ottomans also expand. The Mamluk player quit after the initial setback of the Ottoman death war, giving the Ottomans free reign in the area. The Ottomans are also responsible for one of the two player wars, the Ottoman-Persia War. Player war with Persia being involved? What's Persia? Oh no. Oh dear God. That happened so quickly and... That's amazing. I completely missed that. I just look into Persia for a second and it's completely gone. And let me guess, Ardalan is the subject of Ottomans. Yep, Ottomans just straight up beeline for Persia. They're not letting Persia live and they are burning this to the ground. As you can see, Persia was alone with no allies and in essence unable to put up a fight. This led to a player kill in Persia, giving the Ottomans even more expansion options. Asia, 10 players. Asia had no new player wars, however the players here greatly consolidated their control of Asia itself. Outside of Maine, there is very little in terms of land that is not controlled by a player. As such, tensions are rising. In the north, one of the veteran Grand Campaign players was looking for relocation, and I decided to give him Oirat. They are usually banned, however I thought since we're one session in, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the answer is I got a harsh reminder why Oirat is banned, as they have quickly emerged among the leading powers of the region. To the south, while India remains peaceful at first glance, disagreements, mistrust, and the general desire for more land means that as soon as opportunity will emerge, a war will start there. Going east, we see Khmer and Majapahit continue to expand completely unopposed, and with the Ming being attacked by Oirat, this may present an opening for Khmer to make some action. North Khmer, Korea and their ally Japan sit very uncomfortably with a border with Oirat. Korea has gone colonial ideas, meaning that they have a way out, but such close proximity to non-allied Oirat cannot bode well for them overall. Regardless, they still grew in strength, and Japan has almost finished their consolidation of Japan proper, meaning they will begin to emerge as a power to be contested with soon. Africa now, much like Asia, has almost been consolidated by the players. Morocco and Tunis have begun their expansion south, while Mutapa has basically killed every ally available and even landed in Madagascar. Meanwhile, Ethiopia continues to expand, and this week we see our second player war, the Ethiopian invasion of Oman. Oman was already somewhat weakened due to their unfortunately timed wars with AI. However, this would prove to deal a final blow to them, as Ethiopia quickly decimated any resistance by the Oman army. Oman could have had the potential to death war here too, but the lack of real defensible terrain meant they were unable to put up a fight, leading to another player kill, and Southern Arabia being turned into an Ethiopian sphere of influence. This concludes the Grand Campaign recap for Session 2. If you wish to watch the streams for this next session live, you can do that by turning up at 7pm GMT to 11pm GMT on Sunday every week until further notice. If you wish to join the Grand Campaign, you can find a link to do so in my channel description.